All righty, moving on to the show and tell. Why don't we start over here? Bill, do you have something to show us? Mr. Altus?
No.
No? What's in the box?
Well, yeah, everybody's seen it. If you want to do it, it's Dapper Tom. Our shipways, and I think it goes back to about the late 50s or 60s. It's really old, but it looks like it's complete. Bought it for the young guy.
Oh, okay.
Caelen.
All right. All right, very good.
And worked on it.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks. Anybody in next table?
I got that ship up there.
Yeah, why don't you come up and talk to us about it?
King of the Mississippi, I've been working on it for like the last 8 years. I remember prior, came back last picnic last month. Got back in touch with you guys. But I've been working on that for 8 years just simply because of work, that good stuff. You actually turn off the light. Mind if I hit the light real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. You got the
Down
camera?
toward the bottom, spotlight for everyone.
All right, there you go.
You can actually see it lights up. I put in LEDs in it, flickering LEDs. Now, when I built this thing, like I said, I bought the kit like 8 years ago. The wife bought it for me. I thought it was going to be something that was going to be quick, and I'd be done within 4 months. It turned out to be an 8-year project. And on top of it, right when I was about to continue moving on, my wife goes, "You know what? You should really put lights in it." And I looked at her and I go, "Yeah, you know what? Sure, why not just shoot myself in the face?" But I ended up putting lights in it. Funny thing was, this version of this kit, none of the windows are cut up. They're all pewter windows. Everything's pewter windows. So you actually had to make my own windows. And then I had to figure out how to run LED. And then it's literally a month before I was done building it. I looked on the maker's website, and it literally sells an LED kit for it. And I was like, well, that's convenient. And I did light up the pilot house, but unfortunately, somewhere during the time after I sealed it up, the actually LED got disconnected or something like that. So, but I mean, I really like the kit, the model itself. I think it's a pretty model. I did not expect to like it, and did not expect it to be as much fun as it actually was. I mean, obviously, I didn't build it in the order that they suggested since I was running lights, but I really did enjoy it. I recommend it to other people. I think the new one even looks probably better with them having the cutout windows. I've seen some people where they actually motorize the wheel and all that stuff. I didn't go that far, but I really liked it. Thank you. Yeah, I think it sets it off. Art. The Spanish company, because of the name, I can never pronounce it. I was just slaughtered. Yeah, AL. There you go. But yeah, they made the kit. Like I said, they make a new one where all the windows are cut out. You can buy the lighting on their website for like $30 and all that. I went and I had to get circuit boards and all because I know nothing about lighting, but I like it. I think it went well. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Cool. John.
Great time. So today I brought now. It's an Egyptian now. I brought it. It says idea what kind of wood it is. I was thinking perhaps before I put the tags that it was first dowel like you normally buy around here. So the reason I brought it was really as a prop because sometimes you need masts for your boats, right? And we always talk about 8-siding the board, of cutting the wood to square and then 8-siding it and then 16-siding it, and you end up with a mast and taper and all that. But there's another way you can get there a little faster. And Port Orford cedar is really good straight grain wood and excellent for making masts.
What kind of cedar, please?
Port Orford cedar.
Okay.
I heard about it a long time ago, and I've got a couple models now where I need to start looking about masting. And this stuff is not satisfactory. Because number one, believe it or not, over time it won't stay straight. I don't know what it is, other than it says it's hardwood, made in Brazil. But I know Port Orford cedar.
Straight because they don't fall.
Right. Port Orford cedar is nice, straight grain. And then that's why they make wooden arrows out of it. So this is where the cheapness or the tightness comes in. I was at a flea market this weekend, and there was a whole stack of arrows there, and I gave the gal $5. So now I've got enough masting material for about 3 or 4 boats. So just let you know that there's a source right there. If you're careful, not careful, you put your eye out.
Run with scissors.
All right, thanks, John.
I believe you had something, didn't you?
Well, my models aren't ships yet, but they're related to ships. 2 seconds on this one. This was a model shipways kit I started 8 years ago.
Want to bring it up here? We can put it
Um,
up on the screen.
the painting and stuff's kind of embarrassing, but started it 8 years ago. And the reason I did is
You just dropped something.
Cannonball.
Right on your foot. Almost stepped on it.
Cannonball.
Started these, and I have 11-inch diagram, of course, because of our monitor, which I started in February and March. But I started this one 8 years ago, and which you can see with my disabled hand and stuff, I can't paint. But I took the model shipways kit, and I love the USS Constitution. Now I'm in love with the monitor in Virginia. And I modified it to all the pictures and research I could find, as I've learned you all experts do. I did it just by chance because I love the Constitution. But 28 years ago, this was my sweetie, my firstborn daughter, on the USS Constitution hugging the carronade.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you guys all say research, research, research as I'm learning. And so I hadn't done anything in 8 years. And so I started with an old model I found in the attic, learning how to paint, sand, get the tools, airbrush, redo it 12 times, do all that type of stuff. But I was online and I watched someone how to do the rigging because this was unfinished. So after watching it 12 times, and I followed it because I didn't even know you could buy netting then. I didn't know any of that. So the funny part was when I looked at this last month, I panicked because all the pictures online of the Constitution, the carronade's totally different. So I'm like, I love history. There's no way I could screw up like that. Well, I kept going through more pictures, and all the carronades on the Constitution are from like 1842. So I'd done the right research for 1812. So I found that too. But it's funny how you always talk about research, get the right stuff. And then when I started up in February, March, when I started coming to the meetings, a little later, I did the 11-inch diagram because of course, that's what's on the monitor. And how do you say, lessons learned, watching videos, hearing you all talk, airbrushing 11 times. I can't paint. I've learned, you know, if it looks bad, adding more paint makes it look worse. You know, constant things you guys experts know. But then I tried to take the step of weathering it. I'm not ready for that, as you can see, but I tried. And my bestie over there was here when I was finishing these last couple months ago. And for whatever reason, all my gun tackle works. So I can make a move by pulling on them. And I was getting upset. And he's like, Bob, they're models. They're static. What are you doing? So that made things a lot easier. But I just, and it creates like 7,000 questions as you learn. And as we were talking with someone, the hobby gets expensive because, oh, I need 2 new airbrushes. I need this. I get every tool on Amazon. And of course, eBay's dangerous as it can get. But I've enjoyed a part of coming here to see what you guys do. It's very motivational, but it's fun because you have to figure things out. And that's why I'm enjoying it. And then you can see on the deck, my attempt at trying to weather it was a complete bomb. But, you know, all the barrels, all the wood, the cannonballs are real ball bearings. The pieces that hook up are real metal. So I took other model pieces and hacked it together. I saw you guys do a lot of adjustments. So next, hopefully in the future, I'll be bringing the CSS Virginia. So I'm finally working on a ship, but it's amazing what you learn with trial and error and YouTube. So
Virginia, is that the blue jacket kit?
yeah, I'm finding that to be not very detailed. So I've added wood planking to the side. It's 0.3 of a millimeter off, but copper plated. So I'm trying to upgrade everything I do, and bought some 1/200 scale, even though it's 192 scale, to try to upgrade it. But I am working on a ship finally, and I have about 10 more ships from eBay waiting to go. But
Two comments. First one is that lots of other people have done cross sections and gun mounts or whatever. So the fact that it's not a full ship is irrelevant. That's not a deal. The other one is my wife likes to quote Martha Stewart, who's a cook, but it's relevant. Martha Stewart always says, "Never apologize." You know, she's talking about her food, but
Well, that's what Trump said.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, but
He has more to apologize
yeah.
for.
Never apologize, never point out the mistakes.
Yeah. So anyways,
You know that.
yeah, if the souffle is a little bit flat, don't apologize. If your model is not absolutely perfect, don't apologize.
Look really
thank you for that.
good.
Appreciate it.
They look really
Join
good.
it.
Kit. This last one, was that the model chip place kit?
The Dahlgren or that's Verlander.
It's resin.
Verlander.
Is it resin?
Yes, it's resin, and I added wood planking and metal pieces.
And yeah, they look really good. So you really don't have anything to apologize for.
Yeah. Looks beat up like it should.
You didn't model your the little girl, and that's the only thing missing.
Well, thank you. John, you're up.
You all know me. I'm John. I'm a ship modeler.
Hi, John.
I scoff at you who have only spent 8 years building some of your ships. I'm up to over 20 on this full thing. So I don't know what that says about me, but it can't be good. I actually have a 2-part quickie here. The first part is I brought some of my latest batch of 3D printed parts for the Hornet. Not everybody's going to care about that, so I was going to open it up at break. Those that are interested, come on by and I'll give you a quick demo of what I got there. But the cap to all of this is that my wife said a couple days ago, she had pointed to one of the parts. She said, "How long did it take to print that?" Without missing a beat, I said, "A year," which is true. It took me that long to deal with all the various combination of things and how long to cook it, and everything you can think of that you can't think of, you have to learn how to do with the rendering and then with the printing. Once you get through that, which took about a year for me, there's some awesome parts here. I'm real proud of what's there, but I wish it could have happened after a week, not a year. Second part, because the ship model I'm working on has a lot of photo etch, I've been vainly searching for some kind of glue that would hold quickly, not globber it all up, and stay stuck good and tight. I actually have found something, and I'll pass it along. You can look it up. It's in a number of different places, but what I've got here is by Ammo, by MIG. This particular one is instant dry cyanoacrylate. It's a good way of describing it. It's dry, even though it goes on like a liquid. And there's a second little bottle in blue here that's powder. And you kind of spritz the powder on the joint, and it firms up and hardens up and strengthens up. It's not like the liquid you put on and sometimes it goes where you want it and sometimes not. This stuff being powdered, you can blow it off when you're done and all the excess goes away. So I recommend it. It worked good for me. This is liquid, but it's not super thick and gooey liquid like some of the thicker stuff. And there's another ammo. I don't own stock in any of these companies, so anyway. There's another one called Ultra Glue, also by Ammo. That's basically like Elmer's glue, only it sticks quickly, and it sticks and dries within a minute or so. So it's almost like cyanoacrylate, except it's water soluble sort of stuff. I'll have the bottles here and I won't take any more of your time, but I've been searching for this for forever.
Can you hold that in front of the camera, please? Real
One
close.
time, one at a time. Who wants what?
Yeah, hold it.
That's one.
Ultra glue ammo. Thank you.
The other stuff is essentially like a baking soda.
It's like talcum powder in consistency, but it not only sets, it also strengthens according to this bottle directions on it that are in print. That's so small you have to get a telescope to read it. But in any event, it's sort of powder.
Where did you get them?
These I'm sure I got from Blue Ridge Hobbies or Squadron. That's the same company. It's on the internet.
I'm a little confused about the powder. You said you could blow the excess away.
Sure.
What's
catalyzed?
Yeah. If it doesn't stick to the glue, it's still powder.
Oh, the glue there. I missed a step.
You put down the ACC.
Gotcha.
And then this hardens and sets it and strengthens it.
Gotcha. That makes more sense.
Without touching the model and without using a wick or something to put a little drop of set.
A lot of guys use like baking soda, something like that. I've heard that, and that's probably something.
This is far more expensive, so it must be better.
All righty, very good. Thank you, John.
Sure.
All right, anybody else in house?
I don't have a show, but I have a tell.
Well, go ahead.
You talked about the hobby getting expensive. I built an entire workshop just to hold tools. Which is finally done. I'm happy to. I've announced progress over the last year and a half, and it's finally finished, except for getting everything inside organized. So right now it looks like Hurricane Milton hit it. I have some old benches that were in the previous shed that I built myself, and the drawers never slid quite right. So before I could tidy everything up, I decided I needed to pull all the drawers out and fix the problem. First was getting all the old grease off of them, because it was in the old shed and I didn't have dust collection. All the grease on the slides was just caked with dust. So I tore those all apart, cleaned them, re-lubricated them, put things back. I used the same drill holes that were there before, and it still wasn't sliding well. So I said, all right, well, they're a little bit, one of these is a little bit misaligned up and down. So I fixed that, and then it was even harder to slide. So I said, well, they're not quite equidistant, like they taper in at the back. So I fixed that, and then it got worse again. And I said, well, this one isn't quite straight, it wobbles. So I shimmed it, and it got yet even where every adjustment I made, it got more difficult.
Right.
And it didn't occur to me to check the slides on the drawer. I'm just talking about the ones that are on the cabinet, and the one in the drawer was off. So the original misalignment on the bench itself was compensating for that. And as I made that more and more correct, I got more and more out of alignment with what was on the drawer. I was going out of my mind. It's going nice and smooth, and I installed the next 8 of them. There's one drawer I need to construct yet. And then I noticed that they're not the same left and right. So now I have to take them all out again and realign them so that they're straight across. And I can't just let that go. So I make everything more difficult than it should be. I'm even redoing the stuff 2 or 3 times. But hopefully next meeting, I'll have a picture of everything tidied up, and I'll be making sawdust again.
Pride will kill you.
Make sure to take a before picture before you do any more.
Oh,
tests.
yeah. That, I already have that one.
Pride will kill you.
And, I've got, I bought a new, thickness planer, because the old one, was not as wide and didn't have good dust collection. And now that I have a nice shop, I want to keep it tidy. So, I'm selling that old one, which is, actually a molder planer. So you can cut your own special moldings if you're into, furniture making or making stuff for your house. And a radial arm saw that I'm selling because I bought a new table saw, and a full-size wood lathe that I'm selling because I'm just never going to use it. It's taking up space. So I don't want to give these things away. I want to get something out of them to defer some of the cost of those new tools I mentioned. But I'll give everyone I'll sell it to anyone who's interested for much less than what I'm asking, like on Facebook Marketplace. If anyone's in the market for a radial arm saw or a molder planer or a wood lathe, let me know. Give you a good deal. I wouldn't recommend the molder planer unless you really want to make moldings, because it's expensive for just using it as a thickness planer. But if you're into mold, you know, if you have an old house and you want to be able to do stuff like that, whatever. Anyway, that's that.
All righty, moving to the gallery. Mike, you got something for us?
I've got something if, well, let me screen share.
Who's that, Tom?
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
Tom.
all right, Tom, we'll start with you. Yeah, screen share. Okay, all right, Tom, I think you're up.
All right. It's not Titanic.
Oh my.
Okay, Titanic is in a new home. So I'm starting on my next project. This here is the brig Argus. This is something that I've been wanting to do for many, many years. Argus and Siren were brigs that were constructed specifically for the Barbary Wars. Argus was built up in Massachusetts. It was originally called the Merrimack, but the Secretary of the Navy at the time was told by his officers that they didn't like the name Merrimack, so they renamed it Argus. What's interesting about, well, the Argus was originally commanded by Isaac Hull, and after that, Stephen Decatur. In the Barbary Wars. After the Barbary Wars, it was laid up, and then in the War of 1812, it was quite a successful commerce raider. Like 20 ships captured, that sort of thing, until it was captured in the battle with the Peacock, HMS Peacock. So this is the Chappelle plan, which is taken from a plan that was developed in 1940 in the archives of NAVC. I have a book with the plan, but this plan was Chappelle's upgrade of that plan. I'm making this using the lift method. Since the hull was coppered under the waterline, I am not going to waste a lot of time planking below the waterline. So I will be showing step by step how I'm going to deal with that. But basically what I'm going to do is I am going to finish real well what's below the waterline or slightly below the waterline, and then plank above. So I will be getting into that. And here you see the templates for the first 4 lifts. So what's going to happen is I made multiple copies, cut them out, put a left and a right together. One of them is obviously turned over because whatever. The bottom two lifts are going to be solid, and then the next two are going to be hollowed out. And then I'll be getting into interesting things to do the follow-on lifts. So hopefully it doesn't take too much. One good thing about the lift method as opposed to the bulkhead is I will probably have a hull probably in a week of work, okay, 40 hours. Now, question that I'm hoping somebody more knowledgeable can help me with, okay. Argus, according to a book that I read, the title escapes me, but In the Pursuit of Peacock, Captain Maples, who was the British commander, stopped the merchantman and asked him if he had seen any U.S. ships, and he said yes, and the ship had yellow sides and a bust figurehead. Question is, a bust of what? And I've been pulling out my hair trying to figure out what it might be a bust of. The Chappelle plan shows a billet head. And that's very typical for Chappelle because basically if he doesn't know what the figurehead is, he puts a billet head, okay? It was not a billet head. It was a bust. At least in 1813 it was. So I'm trying to figure out what bust it was. So I go looking at Argus. Argus Oedipus was a Greek monster that had over 100 eyes, and it means all-seeing. And the claim to fame of Argus was that while he was in charge of Hero, who was a goddess, she was turned into a cow, and he was lulled to sleep by Mercury and beheaded. So why you would want to name your ship after somebody that got beheaded, God only knows. But anyway, so I'm trying to figure out what this bust actually was. Rylan, you remember when you and I went to the Naval Academy, has to be 5 years ago, because we went to see the gravesite of John McCain. So I don't remember exactly what that was. But at the time in Preble Hall, they had a group of 27 miniature figureheads, all 1/8 inch, all 1/4 inch scale, that were carved by Lloyd McCaffrey. And I didn't realize at the time, all of these were figureheads of the U.S. Navy from Revolutionary War period till up to 1898. And I know I took a photograph of it, and I know I took a photograph of the legend for it, and so help me, I cannot find it anywhere. So what I did is I went online and I Googled Lloyd McCaffrey, and it turns out he produced a volume that shows all these figureheads. And don't you know that he's got probably 18 figureheads shown, and he skips over the one for Argus. So I still don't know what this figurehead was. So if any of you folks who are used to research or dealing with NAVC or Naval History and Heritage Command, if you could just point me in a direction that I could go look. Because if not, understanding that this is going to be 1 to 96 and it's a bust, which means it's not going to be particularly large, I'm just going to take a swag at a Greek god, a man with a full beard, period, and that's going to be the end of it. So,
if I could render a suggestion,
yes, sir.
I would go with a big bust.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I understand, but there's kids involved here. All right, anyway. Yeah.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
could you explain what the lift method is?
Okay, so in the lift method, what you do is, and I can you see the pointer, the orange pointer?
Yes, see the pointer.
Okay. So each one of these lines corresponds to one of these lines, which corresponds to one of those lines. Okay, so what you do is, I have several patterns that come from this view. So the first pattern is this bit of the hole here. The next pattern is this bit of the hole here, and so, okay? So now what you do is you get stock that is roughly that thickness, understanding that when you glue them together, there's going to be a glue line. So you're a little bit under that thickness, okay? And then what you do is you put that one on top of that, on top of that, on top of that, and then what you have is basically a topographical map. So now what you're going to do is you're going to connect the steps of the topographical map, and then when you get that all together and it's all glued together, and I screwed up here. Okay, well, okay, so I just screwed up. All right, hold on. Hold on. It's here. All right. So then when you put these three together, now what you do, and it's not going to let me go back to the other view. Okay. Well, anyhow, what you do then is you get the body plan and you cut
Building up in stacks.
and then you do it just like you're carving a solid hole, The difference is that now with those steps in the side, that gives you an automatic reference point. So what you're doing is you're connecting the top pattern with the bottom pattern. Okay. What I'll do is I'll take progress photographs as I do this. So next meeting I can show you. It's a lot easier for me to show you than to explain.
All right, and then every square, so they're stepped, so you have to sand it down to make it.
Right. Now, what I do is the thought is, oh, take a Dremel to it. Wrong idea. What I have is a Sureform, which is basically a cheese grater for wood. Okay, and that's how so first thing I do is I bring it to a scroll saw, and I cut it out probably within maybe a 32nd or a 16th of an inch of the curve, because with the scroll saw you screw up a little bit. You don't want to cut into the paper pattern. Then what I do is I take it to an oscillating spindle sander, and I sand right up to the line. Okay. Then when that's done, I transfer the station lines. I transfer that to the vertical side, and I drill a small hole. And the reason why I drill a small hole is because as I'm shaving it down, the lines that I just put disappear. So that's how I make sure that when I'm done, and then what I do is I take the body plan, I take the section plan, and I make templates, and I use those templates as tri gauges, just to make sure that I'm I carved it correctly. So it's a lot easier for me to show it to you than to explain it. So I'll take progress pictures as I go.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe a future presentation.
All right.
Thank you. All right, Mike, have you got anything to share for us now?
I can show you my office here. Maybe.
Yeah, please.
So we're still very much.
All right, we're getting there. There we go.
No, you just went down.
Do you want us to come back to you while you set up? Mike?
Are you talking, Mike? Mike, you muted.
Yeah, I'm talking. I'm not on mute.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you now. I heard the damn thing you said.
Go through
All right,
everything.
well. The models?
Yeah, there's the way. You lost your mic.
Skipjack had some damage. I guess I got to be in front of the. So there's the
Directional microphone.
the model.
It's a very directional.
Nice workshop.
Yeah, you're having some audio difficulties, Mike. So why don't we circle back to you in a moment?
I want one of those.
Amazon. I can share the link. Drop me a note. I'll share the link to it. That is really a nice magnifier. My magnifier got broken in the move too, and my general area light was not so good as far as the stand. So
It certainly is a very neat bench.
well, hasn't had any work done on it yet. The skipjack repair will be the next thing. Skipjack repair will start probably in a week.
All righty. Very good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. All righty. Joe, how about yourself?
I can show you a little of the beginning of a project, if you will. Hang on one second.
There. Okay.
Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is a Niagra that I inherited. I was gifted it. We lost a very good modeler in our group in 2020. And in an idle moment, I kind of pushed back from what I was doing on my own models. And I said, what am I going to do with this? And he was also a good friend and an excellent contributor to our group. And as a tribute, there's a little lengthy intro into what I'm doing. As a tribute, I thought I would, I'm going to say encase it, but I do not have the room nor the time. My shot clock is ticking. I've got 4 projects of my own. So I thought I would put this in a case. And I've gotten into building acrylic cases lately. So this model, he's got all the parts almost all finished. And I'm sure you've all run into this with friends and associates, that the uncompleted models in an estate may either end up in the trash or shoved aside and damaged. And I thought it was an injustice to just let this lay fallow. So I've ordered my acrylic. I've got, I just yesterday bought the material to do the base for the model. It will have a drawer and it will store all of his parts. And I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to instruct my children that they should preserve it as well. I just can't let this lie fallow. So over time, maybe it's a short project, I believe, maybe over the next month and a half, I can bring it back and show you the completed, entombment is the first word that comes to mind, but that's a little bit maudlin. I'll show you what I've done with it. That's it.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Mr. Jones, you're up. Have you anything for us today?
No, sir. Just been getting things done. Thank you, sir.
righty. Caelen, I see you looking at us there. What do you got for us today?
I've got lots of stuff to show you.
Uh-oh.
I'll first start off with my model of the USS North Carolina.
Very nice.
I actually just completed this like about a week ago. It was pretty kind of easy. I actually got this at the gift shop when I went to the actual battleship this summer.
Very good.
The hardest part was the deck because you had to hold it in place. I used some weights to weight it down.
Who makes that kit?
And
Who makes that kit, Kate?
and next I brought my steamboat.
Mhm.
This is the Robert E. Lee, also known as the Monarch of the Mississippi, which I'm sure some of you guys have heard of the steamboat before.
Yes, indeed.
Last but not least, the biggest model I have ever built so far. Well, I didn't really build it though. I did some of it.
Oh, wow. There you go.
I didn't build this entire thing. I actually received this like in September from Dave Baker.
Looks very good.
I've done the rigging, and I had to, before I did all this, I had to clean the dust off because there's a lot of dust on it. As you can see, this thing can pop off the mast.
Well, you've got a lot of work yet to do.
This is actually some like a 57-year-old model.
Yes, I think everybody here probably has built that model at one
I
time.
got one in my living room.
Very good. So how do you find time for your schoolwork?
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Good,
I'm
good.
just thinking of all your models, you're going to hand over to the house like somebody else.
Caelen had to get a good grade on his test in order to attend the workshop in Portsmouth that we went to.
Yeah, that's true.
Very good. Well, thank you, Caelen. All right, Bill, have you got anything for us to share?
Thank you for asking, and no, I don't. Not a thing.
All righty. Well, enjoy the rest of the folks then. All right. Kevin, how about you, Kevin?
Well, I've been on a month's vacation, and you can see the hat that I'm wearing. Very important hat. I don't know if any of you follow the America's Cup. If you do, I don't want to spoil today's results for you, but maybe my cap will give you an idea of what happened today. But I did go to one of the races in Barcelona, and I also went to the Barcelona Maritime Museum, where I was privileged to have the director of the museum as my tour guide, which was absolutely incredible. And then a few weeks later, I was in Lisbon, and I didn't even know they had a maritime museum there. I did not have the director as my tour guide, but it's one of the most incredible museums that you can see in your life. There are over 400 models. Each time you take another 10 steps, there's a whole new part of the museum that opens up. And it's almost as good. Those of you who went to the museum in Annapolis, it's probably just as good as that, except there are much more models to look at. So that's kept me very busy, and I'm now trying to settle back down in with the thorn. I do have a present, but I'm not going to show it to you right now. You'll have to wait for the video to get it. So that's about it for me. And again, just giving you a little heads up.
In Lisbon, did you see the collection of small scale fish? There's about 20 of them altogether.
So that's it for me.
Oh, did you get that?
Yeah, I got it in the village. But you know me, I always hedge my bets. So I have a British and I have an American, and I refuse to buy the Italian. So that's it for me.
Hey, Gene?
John, you're starring.
Yeah, I've lost
All right,
lost the
can you hear
meeting.
us now? Are we
You can see
connected?
the video.
Okay,
Hang on.
good enough. I'll go ahead then. What I have to show is the Jeramiah O'Brien, which I have been working on for, well, I finished up about a month ago, but I think I purchased this from a auction that we had there at a meeting, probably last year, I would guess. The model came in a box that was really ancient. And when I looked at the drawings, the original drawings I have with it were produced in 1946. I don't know when exactly the model was produced, but it was produced by Blue Jacket before they moved to Maine. This is when they were still in South Norwalk, Connecticut. All the instructions for assembling the model were on one single sheet of paper, and it was obviously done on a manual typewriter. So I paid $35 for the model and thought it was a fantastic deal because the new models produced by Blue Jacket of this are around $400. Then I began to realize that the Liberty ship, as it was depicted in the drawings and so forth, was pre-war. So in order to put it into a wartime configuration, I would have to buy the additional parts to do it. In the end, because I ended up using special fittings, like right up in here, these rails up in here are not the standard brass etched rails anymore. The initial model, the original model, had these turned brass posts, and I was shy about 100 of them. So that was about $125 just for that part. And then it also needed a 5-inch gun, a 3-inch gun. It needed 8 20-millimeter guns, and of course the pods that go around it. So in the end, I think I probably spent about $400. So right back to what it would cost to buy a new one today. But it was a joy to work on, really was. Some of the old castings and so forth that are on this are no longer available. So it was like trying to finish an antique piece. So that's it.
All right, thanks, John.
Nice. Thanks, John.
Okay, for our benefit, everybody can still hear us now? Thumbs up? All right, very good. All right, let me share. Anyone else online and or in-house before I proceed? All righty. All right, let me go ahead and, okay, where do I? You showed me once before.
You gotta hit share.
Yeah, I did that. Okay, now I gotta go down and,
You, stop and restart the recording.
oh yeah, huh?
This is not the presentation.
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Share again. You stop sharing.
Did I?
Yes.
Ah, I hate this thing. Okay, share. Okay, and then what?
You have to pick what you're sharing, either the entire screen
No,
or.
up at the top of the tabs. Click one of the other tabs.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
All righty.
Oh, no. Go back to share. Click on this.
Huh?
Go back to the sharing screen.
Sharing screen, where is?
Shrink it down.
I know.
Stop sharing. Stop sharing. And then share. And then go to window. And then don't click on that. Click on the pictures themselves. So you need to open the picture. So hit cancel.
I had a picture, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, everyone. Technical, okay.
Yeah. Shrink down.
It doesn't matter if you're sharing the app or the entire screen.
Yeah, but why is it not broadcasting?
Because which one?
Oh, it's just,
Share screen. Window. Share. And now you just go through normal. There you go.
all righty. Here's the Arizona, which I had recently completed.
That's beautiful.
We have it in-house, but for those benefit online, I'm just going to show a couple of the pictures here. And it's essentially based upon the trumpeter kit, the hull anyway, but the rest of it was scratch built using.
Yeah, what era?
This is 1916, essentially as the ship was constructed. Hence the cage masts and the relocation of the batteries along the lower deck. All righty. And the new project, which I've started, is of the USS Zircon. And here's some drawings. I'll be getting a little more into this during the program, but just to show a couple of the photos of the construction and the laying out of the frames and so forth, and how I do this will all be kind of fleshed out in the program. This is the framing keyed together with the keel piece and indexed so that you'll be able to keep everything aligned. And of course, here's starting some of the planking. And I assume by next month I'll probably be into the rigging, so we'll move right along. All righty. Although not of the ships, it is something that is related. This was at the Pongo Air Show last weekend that Greg and I attended. I thought it was worthy showing, Navy related. If you ever get the chance to get down to Pongo, it is absolutely worth the effort. There. So other than that, that pretty much concludes my end of the program there. We'll take a small break and then set up for the program. And if there's no questions, we'll stop recording and take a 5. Well, pretty much.
Your video came out a lot better than any of mine, so if you don't mind sharing that.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Threw away most of mine.
No,
Four.
That spot.
Yeah, same place. They had,
I was trying to avoid
40. They had